Lucian had been working at the docks for several years now, caught in the routine of a government-controlled life. Under the oppressive rule, he was just one of the many, following orders to survive. His actions might seem small, but they kept the gears of this broken system turning. The question was, how long could he keep going before everything changed? It was another day like any other. The scent of the salt and rust filled the air as Lucian hauled crates onto a transport cart, his muscles aching from the monotony. The docks were always the same, grimy, loud, suffocating under the watchful eyes of the government enforcers. Just as he wiped sweat from his brow, a voice cut through the clamor. Lucian! He turned to see his boss, a stocky man with a clipboard in one hand and a scowl on his face. Need you to make a delivery. Warehouse 3 to the East Post. Get moving. Lucian sighed but nodded. Arguing was pointless. He loaded the crate onto a transport bike and started his route, weaving through the familiar streets. But as he glanced at the sun's position, an idea struck him. If he cut through the mountain pass instead of taking the main road, he could shave 2 hours off the trip. It was a risk. Few people dared to stray from the designated path, but time saved meant time less spent under the government's thumb. Without hesitation, he veered off course, guiding his bike toward the rugged terrain. The deeper he went, the quieter the world became. The towering trees and jagged rocks swallowed the noise of the city behind him. Then as he rounded a bend, his breath caught in his throat. Half buried beneath the vines and stone was something impossible, an ancient ruin, untouched and undiscovered. Lucian's pulse quickened. The government controlled all ruins with an iron grip, for they were more than relics of the past. They were gateways to power. Anyone who completed their trials would emerge changed, wielding abilities that could challenge the world order. And yet this place, no one had found it. No enforcers, no barriers. It was just him. He could feel it in the air, a hum, an energy thrumming beneath his skin, crawling into his bones like a whisper of destiny. Lucian had hesitated. This was insane. If he was caught, he'd disappear like the others who crossed the government. But something in him wouldn't let him turn back. His grip tightened on the crate, then slowly, deliberately, he set it down. The delivery could wait. With a deep breath, he stepped forward, plunging into the unknown ruin. Lucian stepped into the ruin, his breath shallow as he took in the towering stone walls around him. The corridor stretched ahead, barely illuminated by faint, pulsing veins of light embedded in the rock, casting eerie, shifting shadows. Every hair on his neck stood on end. What if he wasn't the only one who knew about this place? The mountain had been abandoned by man long ago, left to nature, to time, to things that lurked within. The path through it had always been dangerous, but this defied reason. Government had scoured the land for ruins, locking them down before anyone could even dream of stepping inside. And yet, here he was, standing in one they had somehow missed. Lucian swallowed hard, his fingers twitching at his sides. He'd always known the mountain was teeming with creatures, the kind he barely outran on his transport bike. Speed had been his greatest defense. Keep moving, never stop. Now, in the suffocating stillness of the ruin, he was exposed, vulnerable. This was unknown territory. Was it even worth it? He'd heard the stories. The trials inside ruins granted power, but not every power was a gift. Some people had gotten the short end of the stick. Cursed abilities, bodies that withered too soon, minds that fractured under the weight of what they had become. And that was assuming he had even made it through. What if he died here? What if no one ever found him? His feet carried him forward, almost without thought, his steps soundless against the ancient stone. The deeper he went, the more the corridor widened, revealing a massive megalith ahead, a towering monolith of impossible scale, its surface covered in markings that pulsed with an worldly rhythm. He couldn't shake the feeling that something unseen was guiding him, pulling him toward whatever lay ahead. Then, the silence shattered. A deep, deep voice, resounding, echoed through the chamber like thunder, shaking the very air around him. Lucian's breath hitched as a figure, bathed in light, flickered at the edge of his vision, just barely perceivable, and then